Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to unpack our source material and figure out what it actually takes to transform your freezing garage into a comfortable, warm workspace. We're looking way past the shiny hardware and getting right down to the nuts and bolts of a proper, safe installation. Now, if you've ever shivered your way through a winter DIY project, you might be tempted to just buy a space heater, plug it in, and, well, call it a day. But as our source material reveals, the scope of a permanent, effective installation is so much more complex than just a straightforward swap. It's a project that demands serious planning, precision, and a healthy respect for safety codes. And honestly, here is the core realization from our source. The invisible groundwork is actually what makes or breaks this project. It's rarely just about mounting a metal box on the wall. It's about all that supporting infrastructure, the venting, the wiring, the spatial planning, the stuff that goes into making that box function safely and efficiently in your specific garage. To make all this approachable, we're breaking the project down into 4 clear phases. First, choosing your perfect heater. Second, power, fuel, and placement. Third, the actual installation process. And finally, testing and ongoing maintenance. All right, let's jump right into phase 1, choosing your perfect heater, or what we'll call the blueprint. Before you even think about fuel types or browsing models, you have got to get the sizing right. Our source makes it absolutely clear. You must estimate your square footage, check those ceiling heights, and account for air leaks and insulation. If you skip this step, well, you'll end up with an improperly sized heater. If it's too big, it's just going to cycle on and off inefficiently, driving up your energy bills. But if it's too small, it'll completely fail to heat the space, leaving you freezing out there despite all the money you just spent. So you essentially have 3 main options here, and they each come with their own distinct pros and cons. Electric models typically offer an easier installation, sure, but they might force you to upgrade your electrical circuit capacity. Then you've got gas heaters, running on natural gas or propane, which give you that rapid heating, but man, they require serious attention to venting and fuel safety. And finally, ducted systems. These offer beautifully even heat distribution across the whole room, but they introduce a ton of complexity when it comes to placement and airflow design. Moving right along to phase 2, power, fuel, and placement. This is where we lay the groundwork. The crucial point here is understanding how your path diverges based on what you chose back in phase 1. Electric setups, they don't just plug into a standard wall socket. They might need a dedicated circuit, meaning you're going to be checking your electrical panel, confirming wire gauges, and verifying circuit readings. Gas models, on the flip side, absolutely depend on correct gas supply pressure, strict flue and vent routing, and a thorough assessment of combustion air needs. And let me tell you, proper vent routing isn't just a friendly suggestion, it is absolutely critical for your safety. And that brings us to the physical location. Where does the unit actually go? You can't just slap the heater anywhere. You have to follow strict manufacturer clearances around everyday garage obstacles. We're talking about keeping a safe, calculated distance from combustible materials, navigating around your storage shelving, and making absolutely sure you aren't blocking your garage door tracks. It's kind of like a giant spatial puzzle that directly dictates your safety and airflow. Furthermore, your placement strategy dramatically impacts performance. Depending on how you actually move through your garage, you'll need to strategically mount the heater. For instance, placing wall or ceiling-mounted units higher up can really help reduce overall cold spots near the floor. Or, maybe you want to mount it so it aims the warmth directly at your main workbench. Basically, it all comes down to how you plan to use the room. Okay, now for phase 3, the installation process. It is time for execution. Execution looks vastly different depending on your fuel choice. Electric installation focuses heavily on securely mounting the unit, running properly rated wiring, making safe connections, and pairing modern controls like timers or smart switches to keep those energy bills in check. Gas installation, however, demands rigorous attention to leak-safe connections, the proper setup of ignition and combustion components, and complex venting to prevent deadly hazards. This is really where the stakes get incredibly high. But regardless of the fuel type you went with, there is a golden rule from the source material for this phase. Place your temperature controls in a neutral spot. Think about it. If you mount the thermostat right in the direct path of the heater, it's just going to react to that hot air blasting right out of the unit. It'll shut off prematurely and leave the rest of your garage freezing cold. You absolutely need it to measure the room's overall temperature accurately. Finally, we arrive at phase 4, testing and ongoing maintenance. The finish line. Before you celebrate, you have got to follow a strict mini procedure to test the system. First up, Verify that the circuit operates correctly, or if you're using gas, that the venting is performing exactly as designed. Second, test the thermostat to make sure it actually responds appropriately. And third, and this is by far the most important, pay incredibly close attention to any unusual odors, strange noises, or potential gas leaks before you ever trust the unit to run unattended. A proper installation always includes this operational review. And guess what? The work doesn't just stop once the heater is turned on. To maintain that day one efficiency, you've got to commit to a routine maintenance schedule. This means following the manufacturer's guidelines, routinely cleaning out those intake areas, checking for new structural obstructions, and making sure you thoroughly inspect your vents every single season. Oh, and you'll want to confirm those temperature controls are still responding normally as the weather changes. Now, here is a surprising twist to keep in mind, and the source material is super clear about this. All of this hard work, all the expense, the careful planning, it will be completely undermined if you don't seal up the drafts and insulation gaps in your garage. Improving your weatherization is kind of the hidden key to meaningfully reducing your operating costs and, actually keeping that heat inside where you want it. Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. We've seen exactly what goes into a successful garage heater installation: matching the unit to the space, navigating strict electrical or gas requirements, mastering the clearance zones, and rigorous testing. Given the serious safety implications of gas lines and major electrical upgrades we've covered today, you have to honestly evaluate your own skills. So with venting, wiring, and clearances to consider, are you truly prepared to navigate these building codes safely on your own? Or is the peace of mind that comes with a qualified professional the smartest investment you can make?